and welcome. I am Jade of Jaded Reader, and today I'm going to be talking about books I wish were standalones. Now, these books that I'm bringing up are not bad books. It's not that I wanted these books to end, it's that I felt like they'd come to their natural conclusion, and in true Aquarian form, I'm willing to cut something off if I don't believe it should be there. This is a video that I wasn't really looking forward to filming at first because I thought I would get a lot of criticism as these books are really good, and some people obviously are going to like their sequels. But in being true to myself, showing a bit of that confidence and who I am going to film this video, and I'm not going to have regrets about it. Well, we'll see how the comments go. But as of right now, I don't have regrets. I'm gonna start off slow and I'm gonna start off careful by bringing up a book that if you watched my wrap-ups in the past, you won't be incredibly surprised. The first book being Onyx and Ivory by Mindy Arnett. Onyx and Ivory follows a girl named Kate whose father is known to be a traitor to the king, and after a long friendship with the prince, she's banished to a neighboring place, lost all of her status, and works as a messenger to ride between different kingdoms, in which she puts herself in enormous peril as there are these drake-like dragon creatures that chase after her, spit acid and fire, and overall, this book is just a really good time. Onyx and Ivory was an instant favorite of mine, and I absolutely both enjoyed the cover and the book inside. However, the second book did not need to happen. The cliffhanger at the end of this book, I believe, could have been avoided, or the book could have been a little bit longer and wrapped up all the things it needed to. The second and conclusion to the story ended up not fulfilling any of the things I expected or needed out of the first book, and instead ended up going way off track, skipping an entire war that was much needed to be concluded in this book, and a missing person at the end of this book ended up really just not being a big deal in the next one. So Onyx and Ivory is my first book in this video that was absolutely fantastic and should have stopped there. My next book I really struggle with because the second one has not come out yet, and so this is just my initial opinion and my first reaction after finishing the book. I enjoyed Wicked Fox by Kat Cho so much, but when I reached the ending, it felt like a natural conclusion. Everything was wrapped up exactly how I needed it to. There was still drama and allure. The ending just felt right. And then there's the epilogue. And the epilogue sets it up so that there will be a second in this series. I just don't understand how there couldn't be. In The Wicked Fox, you follow a Gumiho named Miyang. A Gumiho is a nine-tailed fox demon. She's somewhat like a Japanese kitsune and a succubus. But I do highly recommend you picking up this book or looking further into Gumiho mythology, as Gumiho are indeed their own Korean mythology, and this did quite pique my interest. This Gumiho Miyang meets a boy, a human boy, and unfortunately that human boy gets control of her bead. Her bead is a source of her power as well as her soul, and with that bead he is able to control her. I won't go any further because I feel like the plot definitely unravels itself, and this was a very easy read. However, I also feel like it had a very easy conclusion and that it got there. And I felt that that was so unfortunate, as it felt so perfect just the way it was. Now, that's not to say that I won't pick up the second one or that I won't enjoy it, but as of right now, wow, that was a fantastic story with a fantastic ending. After that, I don't have this book physically. I listened to it on audiobook, but the next book is Unkindness of Magicians. And Unkindness of Magicians follows Sydney, our main character, in a world filled with magic, and Sydney is an important part of their magic system. I won't get into spoilers because I really liked how this story laid out their magic system, and Sydney is a character to be reckoned with. This book covers elitism, classism, and feels like reminiscent elements of both Gossip Girl and Night Circus. This is my friend Kate at chaptercviii's favorite book, and for our special little friend group where we read our favorite books called The Favorave, we picked up the Unkindness of Magicians, and I absolutely enjoyed it. However, I just found out that it does indeed have a sequel that's coming out, and after finishing that book, I thought it was fine as it was. It had a great story arc, a natural conclusion. I felt like everything that needed to be said was said, and if the sequel follows the same character, I can't help but feel that the story will be slightly diminished, as this character was a very overpowered character, and I felt like that was dealt with in a really practical way that will affect how much I enjoy the sequel. Unfortunately, the book I have on my list next is not physically with me anymore, despite me giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I ended up letting go of Flame in the Mist by Renee Adia because the sequel to this book was so dumb. I don't know how else to put it. I found it dumb. While reading this first book, I found it to be a odd mixture between Mulan and Robin Hood, and it just blended together in a way you never expected. This was a niche little story that fits so perfectly together and became this quick episodic tale of like Mulan going and living in the Sherwood Forest and falling in love with Robin Hood. And then the second book was really off base from that. It was all over the place. I don't truly believe Renee Adia knew where she was going with the story because it went everywhere, as well as having some really anticlimactic fights, some weird character developments, and a very anticlimactic closing. I felt that if we just left Flame in the Mist as a fantastic Sherwood Mulan retelling, we would have been better for it. My second to last one, I admit I'm a little bit biased on because I felt it was already convoluted and could have been cut down quite a bit, which gives it a lot more room to finish up and grow, and that is The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. I ended up doing an entire breakdown and review of this book. I will have it posted up above, but it's because I felt like this book needed a walkthrough in order for you to get through it. And the thing is, this book ended up being a book with middle syndrome, and it's the first book in the series. I feel like with some more editing, a little bit more tapering back on the journey and the details, I think that this book could have been wrapped up in one, and I have to admit, I'm not at all curious to see where the series takes off. By the time I'd reached the end, I felt like I had run a marathon, and I am done. And my last book, I'm really nervous to say, is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyong. No, I did not get rid of the book. My little sister is borrowing it to read it, so I don't physically have it right now, but I am feeling some sort of way about Girls of Storm and Shadow. I can't help but think after reading the second book that it should have stopped at the first. Girls of Paper and Fire follows our main character, Lei, who, because of her eyes, is taken as a concubine to the Demon King. There are full demons, half demons, and humans that are called Paper, so she is known as a Paper Girl. This story is absolutely fantastic, has a lot of drama and meaning to it, and I felt that all of the characters were really well developed and you got a full picture and full story as you went along. This does have trigger warnings for rape and sexual assault, and I am so happy to say that Natasha Nyong has an entire page dedicated to explaining those trigger warnings in detail. This could get into spoiler territory pretty quickly, so what I will say is the second book feels like not just a journey book, but a deconstruction of the main characters and remaking them into something else. I don't know what else, but something else. The second book in this series, Girls of Storm and Shadow, has one of my least favorite villain tropes, which is when they miraculously come back to life, and I am unhappy with how the story continued on, and now that I have DNF'd it, I really don't know where it's going to go. All I know is that I loved Girls of Paper and Fire so much that I wish it would just stay that way, because now when I look at Girls of Paper and Fire, I see Girls of Storm and Shadow, and it's cast a shadow over my fantastic book. That's really unfortunate. This was one of my most anticipated reads, and it's caused me to reflect more on Girls of Paper and Fire and made me realize that there is some parts of Girls of Paper and Fire at the ending that could have been tweaked, and everything would have been pretty smooth sailing. Because I can see that conclusion in my mind now, I can't help but feel that Girls of Storm and Shadow is a continuation of a story that could have easily finished. Okay, I'm gonna stop there before I lose all my subscribers. I have to know, do you agree or disagree with me? Have I missed something in these first books that lead it to need a second book, or do you feel like they could have had a conclusion? I'd also like to know if there's any books you have read in which you felt like it should have ended there. But regardless, I hope you're enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are, and until next time, bye! Where are you? Did I get rid of Flame in the Mist? I did. I'm almost done. Shut up, Ima! Oops. Oof. That was harsh. I'm terrified now. Yeah, I should rephrase that. You're right. Oh, you made it. It's very good. Thank you for making me eat that random piece of shrimp in the middle of me filming. I'm sorry, I'm stuck like this. It was a really big piece of shrimp.